Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Endless TBR. My name is Christian, and this is my channel where I love to talk about books. I'm very excited for today's video. It is a first for my channel. I'm going to be ranking an entire series that I just finished, and that series is The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, the 7-book children's fantasy series that came out in the 1950s. And I'm very excited for this one because I read some of the books when I was younger. I have very clear memories of reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when I was in elementary school, early middle school. I have vague memories of some of the other books like The Magician's Nephew, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but I don't think I ever got to The Silver Chair or The Last Battle when I was a kid. So I'm glad to have revisited this franchise as an adult so I can view it through an adult lens, but then also get through the entire franchise as a whole and see what I think of the entire collection of Narnia books. One disclaimer I'll give right off the bat is that I thoroughly enjoyed every single book in this series. Sometimes when you do a ranking video, the books that end up towards the bottom, people might be like, why did you hate that book? And I just want to state clearly right off the bat that I did not dislike any of these books at all. I rank all my books on Goodreads. They have a 5-star ranking system. 5 of these books I gave 4 stars to, and then 2 of these books I gave 5 stars to. So I have definitely very positive thoughts about every book in this franchise. Just wanted to clear the air about that before we get started. And one other thing that I thought I'd mention, just because I thought it was cool, is once I finished the series, I went on the Narnia subreddit and on YouTube because I wanted to see what other people thought about the franchise and how their rankings were to see if they differed from mine. And something I thought that was really cool is it's really all over the place. It seems like every single person has a different ranking for the Narnia books. Sometimes when you have a popular series, you might have a majority consensus as to this is the best, this is the worst. But when scrolling through the lists, it really is all over the place, which I think is really cool because there's a lot of space for discussion there, and it just means that this series has a little something different for everybody. Everybody has a different ranking and an order that they enjoyed the books. So I just thought that was really cool. Just wanted to mention it before I got into my ranking, but let's do it. I am going to rank all 7 books from my least enjoyment to my most enjoyment. I will say I'm not going to give any major spoilers about the plot points of the series. I'm just going to do a very brief overview of what I liked and what I maybe didn't like about each of the books. Alright, so getting into number 7, a book that I still very much enjoyed reading, but it is The Last Battle, number 7 in the franchise. The reason why this one is going to end up towards the bottom is it was just the most dark and dreary of all of the Narnia books. The reason that I like Narnia a lot is for the whimsical fantasy element, meeting interesting characters, going to exotic locations, going on grand epic adventures. And while this book has no shortage of epic adventures and plot that carries it forward, it was not a slow slog to get through. It felt the most depressing, and it didn't feel like Narnia to me. It doesn't have per se a terrible, depressing ending, but it's certainly one that might leave some readers feeling oh, it's kind of maybe a letdown, and so that's a little bit how I felt when going through it. Is I was missing the things that I love about Narnia the most, which are the fun, whimsical adventures. I will also say that this book is the most heavy-handed, in my opinion, when it comes to the Christian allegorical writing that C.S. Lewis likes to inject into this series. He's a Christian writer. It's just something about the series that you kind of have to accept, is it's full of allegory, and you might like that, you might not like that. For me, I don't really read Narnia for that aspect of the stories, so people that are really into the Christian allegories might enjoy this book a lot more, but I did not care for it as much. And also, a minor thing is Lewis just throws a lot of shade at Susan towards the end of this book, and I was like, why? Why Susan? I know the message he was trying to convey with it, but it just made me feel sad. I was like, not Susan. We love Susan. Alright, coming in at number 6, this is going to be The Silver Chair, book number 6. I thought this was a very fun adventure book. The main characters go through many different cool regions of Narnia. They encounter giants. They go into this underground region that I thought was very awesome and atmospheric. The reason why this one isn't going to rank as high for me is, much like I said, the whimsy and the fantasy and the cool creatures is part of why I love Narnia. Another reason is the Pevensey kids, the 4 kids, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. I really feel a deep connection to those characters. The Silver Chair follows Eustace Scrubb, which is the Pevensy's cousin, and his schoolmate Joe Pole. And while I don't dislike either of those characters, they just don't, I never had that same emotional connection to them as I did to the Pevensey kids. And so for that reason, I was never as locked into the character moments of this story, with an exception. There is one character in here named Puddlegum, who is a marsh wiggle, and I adore him. Probably my second favorite character in Narnia. He is just so kind of dreary, but also endearing. Like, he has this amazing speech towards the end about believing in Aslan and believing in Narnia and holding true to your beliefs, and I thought that was really cool. And so I gave it a +1 for Puddlegum because I liked his character a lot. So that is The Silver Chair, coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5, low contradiction here, I just said that I like all 4 of the Pevensey kids, so you would think, oh, the books that have all of them in it would be towards the top. Well, plot twist, coming in at number 5 is Prince Caspian, a book full of some awesome adventure set pieces, like you have the flight of Caspian from the Telmarines at the very beginning of the book, which I thought was thrilling, and then we have the final showdown at the end between Peter and Miraz and the Narnia and the Telmarine army, which I thought were very cool. But besides that, this book was the hardest for me to get through. It took me the longest to read because it felt the slowest. And I don't know if that's because of the order that I read these in. I read them in publication order, so this was the second book that I read. So coming off of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is just like non-stop adventure and action, and it's so magical. And then you come into Prince Caspian that, you know, it's like 1,500 years in the future. The Narnians are all displaced. This book focuses a lot more on the human characters of the Telmarines, and I just didn't find it as fantastical and fun, and for that reason, it was the hardest for me to get through. It took me the longest. I'd read a chapter and be like, I think I'm going to take a break. One plus this one does have, though, is it contains my favorite Narnia character of all time, and that is Reepicheep the Mouse. I love him a lot, so got to spend some time with him in this book, so that, that bumped it up a little bit for me. So that is Prince Caspian coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, this was a surprise for me because this is the most disconnected of the Narnia books. But number 4, did I say 5 or 4? This is number 4. Number 4 is book number 3, The Horse and His Boy. So this is very much a standalone Narnian adventure. It takes place chronologically between The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian. And it's the story of a boy, Shasta, and his talking Narnia horse. And they're trying to flee the land of Calmaren or Calormene, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I should have looked up the pronunciations, but they're trying to flee this land to go back to Narnia. And this is just a good old adventure book that has like thrilling chase sequences, great battles and showdowns, our main character sneaking around trying to avoid the enemies. And I just liked it a lot. It has a great camaraderie between our two main characters, Shasta and Bree the horse, and I liked it a lot for that. And it has probably my favorite of the Narnian battles of all the books throughout the Narnia franchise. There's a big showdown that happens at the end, and I think it's the most descriptive and in-depth and well-written battle sequence that C.S. Lewis has in this series. If you like the idea of a Narnian standalone series, then I think you'll like this book. If you want a Narnia book that is connected to the other 6 and follows kind of like that very similar that plot line that goes across all of them, you might not like this one as much because it is very standalone. There's really only a reference to this book very offhandedly in another one of the books in this series. So it's pretty, I don't want to say inconsequential, but it's not referenced very much at all. So depending on how you feel about that might influence your ranking. But for number 4, I had that one, which is The Horse and His Boy. All right, coming in at number 3, we have book number 5, and that is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. This one is a lot of fun. This is the closest to like an anthology book in this series, like if I could relate it to that. Basically, what I mean by that is you have Prince Caspian, Edmund, Lucy, and their cousin Eustace. They're on this boat, and Prince Caspian is on a mission trying to find some people that were friends of his father's. And each chapter, in a good portion of this book, is them going from island to island and encountering different weird things on these islands off the coast of Narnia. And I liked it very much because, since I mentioned I like that crazy fantastical elements of Narnia, like bizarre creatures and weird adventures. This book has what I would consider to be the most of that. Like, each island you encounter different things that you might not be expecting. There's an island that has water that turns things gold. You have an island where there's a dragon that they encounter, and just lots of fun fantasy stuff. And I love fun fantasy stuff. Also, Reepicheep in this book, and he's epic in this book, so you already know I love Reepicheep. So that's a little side point there, but I just thought it was very fun, and I like Caspian as a character. Even though Prince Caspian was rated a little bit lower, I do like him a lot, so seeing him again in this book was awesome. And it's just, once again, like The Horse and His Boy, it's a good old-fashioned adventure book that has a lot of cool, fantastical elements that I really enjoyed. And you get to see Edmund and Lucy again, which is a great time. Alright, coming in at number 2, this was the big surprise for me. This is one I thought was going to be low on the list, but it ended up being one of my favorites. It's one of my 2 5-star reviews for the Narnia books. That is book number 1, chronologically, The Magician's Nephew. This is a prequel book that takes place before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it outlines kind of the origin of the wardrobe and the origin of Narnia itself. And it follows the characters Diggory and Polly, Diggory being the professor from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it gives you kind of his backstory. And it's very, very fun. This is, in my opinion, this is the most, like, literary of the Narnia books, specifically the creation chapter. There's a point where our characters get to this void that becomes Narnia, and you get to witness the creation of Narnia, and I think it is by far the most well-written thing that is in this series. Like, it was just magical. The descriptions really stuck with me after I finished that sequence, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. The other thing that I like a lot about this book, and I like about my number 1 book as well, which you've probably guessed what it is by this point, but these books start off in the real world and spend multiple chapters in the real world before they transition into the land of Narnia, into the magical stuff. And I like that a lot. A lot of the other books in this franchise do the same thing. They start in our world, and then they move to Narnia, but it's very fast. It's like 1 chapter and then you're into Narnia. I like this book and my number 1 book because it spends time in our world, like a good amount of time. So by the time you get to Narnia, it really hits you with that magical feeling. Like you're ready to get out of the real world, and it's like, let me see the fawns and the talking animals and the centaurs and all of that. So I like that aspect of this book a lot. One other thing I'll say about this book that I thought is cool is in my opinion, it's the funniest of the Narnia books, which is weird to say. Specifically, there's one scene that really has stuck with me, and it is the scene where there's a character named Uncle Andrew, and he's encountering the talking beasts of Narnia, and the beasts have never seen a human before, so they think he's a tree, and they're trying to figure out how to plant him to make him survive, and I just thought it was so funny. I'm not like a laugh out loud kind of person when I'm reading. Like, I'll smile and giggle maybe, but that scene had me actually laughing out loud while I was reading it. I thought it was so cute, and that scene and the creation scene both really stuck with me a lot from that book. So that is The Magician's Nephew. And then, of course, my number 1, you've probably already guessed it, but this is going to be The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I will fully admit, there is probably some nostalgia that is playing into my opinion of this franchise, but I don't care. It's my list. So I'm putting The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe at number 1. It was one of my favorite fantasy stories as a kid, and it remains one of my favorite fantasy stories as an adult. It has that aspect I talked about earlier where you spend some time in the real world, and then finally when you get to Narnia, it just hits you like a brick over the head with like the magical nature of all of it, going into this forest in the wardrobe where you meet all these fantastical creatures, and you encounter the story of good versus evil and how that unfolds, and just everything about it works for me. Like the relationship between the Pevensey kids, the betrayal that they feel when one of them goes astray, and then of course you have the epic showdown at the end. And that is the one thing I will say about this book that is like the one negative is I wouldn't say the Narnia books are known for their like super awesome battle sequences. Like some of the books do better than others at like describing the battles. This book, the battle is like, it's basically like a footnote. Like it's like a page, and I really wish there was more substance behind it. Like it's very much like, and there was a great battle and then it was over. And I wish there had been more, because when you watch the movie of this book, I think the battle is really, really cool. So I wish we had gotten to experience that more in this book. But overall, my favorite Narnia book is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Such a great book, and I was just so happy to reread it again because I loved reading it as a kid and I loved reading it as an adult. So that is my ranking of the Narnia books. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what your ranking is for the Narnia books. And one other thing I'd be really interested to know, if anybody who watches this video has kids. I don't have kids myself, but if anybody watching this video has kids that have read the Narnia books, I'd be really interested to see, like, did your kids enjoy reading them? Because I found that I had a lot more enjoyment reading these books as an adult and looking at them as like a set of like, you know, historical children's novels set a long time ago that are like the birth of many different like fantasy tropes. Like I enjoyed reading them, looking at it from that perspective, but I'd be interested to see, like, do modern kids read the Narnia books and enjoy them? Like, they're not written in like old English or anything, but you can tell that the language is definitely dated. And so I'd be interested to see, like, can kids appreciate the Narnia books, or are they not interested in them? I think if you are an adult that read them as a kid, you should definitely reread them again, because I think there's a lot of fun to experience as an adult looking at the series. And I think also if you've never read the series before and you're an adult, don't miss out on it. Just because you're older now, it doesn't mean you can't go back and enjoy a children's fantasy series, because like I said, I definitely read it thinking about its historical context, and it made me appreciate it quite a bit. So let me know down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Christian, this is the Endless TBR, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.